Welcome to Property Lounge Ladies, where real estate meets real life. We're three women from different markets, different backgrounds, and different experiences coming together to talk about all things real estate, the wins, the challenges, and everything in between.
Welcome back to the lounge. And today we have a very special guest, the one, the only Bryan Casella. He brought us all together. So we are coming full circle here with him.
Yeah.
He's a top agent, podcaster, YouTuber, influencer, fashionista. Have we missed anything, Bryan?
No, I think you hit it all.
Car guru.
And today we are talking about the importance of having a coach and scripts and all the things that, Bryan is a maven at. Bryan, before we get started, can you tell everybody where to find you?
Yeah, thanks for having me, y'all. It's nice to see. We got the three musketeers here. I love it. I'm sure it's going to be a good one. It's going to be interesting, that's for sure. If we get all four of us on that.
Right.
Never a dull moment.
Never.
It's going to be a little wild. You can just look up my name at this point. I'm pretty sure. I think I made up a word. I'm Googleable. I don't know. My name, you'll find it. I had to make new accounts, Instagram, Facebook, and that whole jazz. But we're doing well. I'm still on every platform. Believe it or not, I'm on TikTok as well. I'm not the dancing realtor on TikTok, but I'm doing my thing. That's the last platform that I kind of have to conquer. But we're doing our thing. We're still expanding. Team BC is growing, and it's been cool because, one of the things that I've always told people and really built my brand on is consistency. And I think that's something that is severely lacking in today's world. So whether I'm, at the top or the bottom, I'm going to be consistent. That's for sure.
Absolutely. And thank you, Bryan, for that intro. Before we get started, I just want to remind everyone that if you haven't actually jumped on or heard our last topic, we had talked about team versus solo. And one of the things that we talked about with team versus solo was the importance of, if you're going to be solo, having a real estate coach, right? So I just want to remind everybody, hey, just if you haven't listened to that one, you might want to jump on that one first and then hit the play button for this one.
And if you're doing that shit, here's what you need to know. Bryan coached all three of us, and we are all now three top performers in our local markets. So you might want to talk to that guy. Okay? There you go. Bryan, how does it feel when you look at the three of us now versus when we first came into your coaching program and we were all just learning real estate? None of us were realtors, right? We were all just new in the game. And now you look up this many years later and we're on a podcast together. You're our guest and we're all three top performers. What is that like from the mentor's perspective?
Yeah, I love to see it, really. Number one, I'm not surprised. Number two, I think it fulfills the original objective that I had, because one thing I really didn't enjoy from just observing other people in sales and in the coaching space was I felt like a lot of people that were coaching and helping people almost weren't doing it in a way where someone could step away and be independently successful outside of that teacher, right? They're building followers instead of building other leaders and top performers. And that's something I always strove to do from the beginning. I said, I don't want somebody to be attached to my hip and be required to be with me forever to do well. I want to build somebody up so they can go out and be a badass on their own. And to see y'all, Brett, and so many of the OGs doing so well, I think it's just a testament, right? Okay, then we did this thing correctly. Y'all are happy, you're thriving. That's the whole point of this, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and we all kind of outgrew your program, and then the next wave of beginners came in, right? And now you're probably watching them all graduate out. That's pretty cool.
It's a really good thing that you brought up because, for example, I've sent Paula business. I just sent Brett over $1 million referral. So you build a network, and that's another added bonus for joining a group.
Yeah, absolutely. Think about it. When we first met, I think both Paula and Bianca were in Florida. I was in Delaware, and Bryan was in California.
Yep.
Well, it's funny, Bryan, we just talked about that. Real estate brought us together. Now, these are my closest friends in the world right here, right? Mm-hmm. I got my BFF here that I'm close to, and then and then there's these two women. It's funny how, and that's all through the coaching program. You're going to meet people.
we talk to each other basically every day.
Every day. That's my accountability partner right there. Her name is Bianca. And if you want to be kept accountable, talk to that chick. Oh, okay, Miss listens to everything I say. I'm like, dang, she's the best accountability partner, but at the same time, once in a while, you need one to slip through. Not her, man. She calls you on everything.
I still can't role play with Carol because she will run me to the ground every time.
That was one of the great things about Bryan's platform is that he had us get accountability partners. I mean, early on in the coaching program, I remember Bryan had us pair up with someone,
Right.
for various activities, and
Yep.
then we did the role playing and things like that. Bryan, is that something that you experienced firsthand when you got into real estate, where you were in an environment where someone mentored you and showed you kind of that's what you do and that's why you did it for us, or how did that all come about?
Yeah, I jumped into coaching right away. My story, I don't necessarily recommend to people because when I got in, I was transitioning out of an athletic career. I was stupid with my money as an athlete. I blew it all, in the classic sense that you hear all the stories, right? Just being young and stupid. So when I got in, I was basically starting from scratch. I'm helping my parents because they're going through a tough time financially. And I'm like, man, I got to figure this thing out. So I put coaching on a credit card and said, okay, well, I got 2 months. I got to make this shit happen, right? I have no other choice. But when I got in, it really wasn't anything compared to what we did because there was 2 things happening. One, it gave me the support that I needed. But number 2, I was making mental notes and saying, hey, when I hire my first person or when I start helping people, these are things that I got to make sure that I add that I never had. So I wish I could have had an accountability partner. Why? Back in the day, I was talking to people on Facebook, YouTube comment sections, in the early stages of social media. Yeah. But in that case, right, people are flaky. They don't stick with it. They'll show up one time and they're gone. And I said, okay, this obviously doesn't work. So how cool would it be to be able to create a community or a pool of people that are coming in with the same mindset, that are going to be dedicated and that'll do it? So when y'all join with each other in the program, you already are part of that 50, 100, 200, 300, 400 people who are all like, okay, I'm ready and I'm here to be dedicated. I'm not just going to say yes and then not show up, right? Mm-hmm. So some of the stuff I got, but the vast majority was me just kind of saying, okay, what needs to be added? What needs to be changed? Could this be better? Is there something that can be removed? And even some of the stuff that we talk about on camera, the life advice and the life general stuff that helps us in every area, not just business, I think is so important too, because I look at real estate and I think a lot of people just get caught up in real estate when in reality, if the rest of your life is in shambles and you don't have it in order, it's going to be very difficult for you to thrive when you're in real estate. It's not like a switch that you can just turn on. I'm not going to be a complete disaster outside of real estate and then at 9 a.m. just be like, oh, okay, I'm ready to go, right? It doesn't work, right? It doesn't work.
That's so
Absolutely.
funny.
Yeah. So when you started your coaching program, I'm actually curious about this. So here you are, you're Bryan Casella, you're a solo agent. You don't have a team at this point, right?
I think 2018 is when I officially started it. And by then, I had the team because when I got in 2013, by 2015, I didn't have the team set per se, but I was already in the process of building it because that's when I brought on Kevin, Loida, and an assistant. And then by 2016, I would say we were more already a full-fledged team in Southern California. And the coaching started later, believe it or not, just because so many people were asking, right? They're like, oh, I'd love to have your team environment. I was like, dude, I'm in Southern California. I can't put you on the team if you're in fucking Hawaii, you know what I mean? Or Texas. So people start, the same thing with the courses. People are like, oh man, have you made a door knocking class? I'm like, dude, just go knock on a door, right?
Yeah.
But people kept asking. So I said, you know what? Let me start the coaching. And I was blown away by how much interest I got initially. And then people just sign up. They're like, okay, I'm in. Right. And I was like, oh man, I didn't expect that many people to really sign up. So in the beginning, the way it was set up, I just basically took everything I built myself and taught my team. And then I brought it over and did my best to systemize it. So if you guys remember all the close the deal stuff, all those original lectures, that was me just basically line by line going down every single thing that I did while I was doing it and just giving it, okay, this is the step 1, step 2, step 3, built in a chronological order so that somebody could go from start to finish and pretty much have a good gist of everything, right? If people were patient enough to go through it, take notes, and then apply it. Because you guys know that's the most difficult thing, is get people to actually apply it, right? Yeah. So it was just this monstrosity that I kind of created. But again, believe it or not, whether it was the course, the video courses, or the coaching, I just had enough people asking that I was like, fuck, man, I can't get people to stop asking me. I might as well do it. And then later on, like what you guys brought up at the beginning, that kind of gratitude and satisfaction came later, taking a step back and seeing people thrive. I was like, wow, I didn't expect this to impact me the way that it did. Because even all the events that we did too, you know, having 100, 150 people in a room is fucking awesome. You know?
Absolutely, yeah.
Bryan, so you started before real estate, you transitioned from being a professional athlete. And being a professional athlete, you worked with coaches all the time. So was it natural for you to like come to real estate and be like, I need myself a coach. I want to be successful. And the best way to do that is to get a coach. Is that why you decided to do that?
Yeah, I mean, part of it, yeah, that was all I knew, but also the mentality. I'm extremely competitive. And like I tell people, we can play a video game. I'm going to kick your ass. Like I'm going to beat you, right? Like, like I'm not one of those that's going to fight you over it, but I want to win. And then if I lose. So when I got into real estate, part of it was that conditioning. But the other part is I said, okay, if I want to be in the top, I'm going to have to get coaches. Like you're not going to figure it out on your own. And I think by the time I finished playing basketball, I think at one point I had 5 or 6 different coaches. We had a nutrition coach. We had one for strength and conditioning. We had a skills coach. Like we had a defensive coach. Like we had so many that's what I was used to. So you went to every specialist for exactly what you needed to even incrementally bump up your game just another percent or two, because then that would put you in a completely different category. So I understood that mentality. Now, if I got into real estate thinking, I just want to sell one house every once in a while, maybe I wouldn't have gotten a coach. But I came in, walked in on the sales floor and said, yo, I'm going to be on the top 10 by the end of the year. You better remember my face, right?
Facts.
Exactly. So I knew I got to get a coach. And then again, any top producer I talked to told me, do this, do that, and get a coach. I was like, all right, monkey see, monkey do. If I want to be like these guys that are doing big deals, I got to follow in their footsteps. And I didn't question it. So a little bit of both, right? A little bit of both.
I think your coaching translated very well. So for that, I'm going to say thank you. Everything you set out to accomplish, I think you did, and more than you'll ever realize. When I first joined the coaching program, I was on a team that really wasn't providing support. And I don't know if you remember this, but I was in the middle of my first transaction and something had came up and I really didn't know what to do. And I called you in California with a 3-hour time difference. You know, he called me back within 17 minutes. But for me, this let me know I was in the right place doing the right thing at the right time, right? He called me back. He went over the whole thing with me, answered all my questions, made sure I understood before we hung up. I went, implemented everything he told me to do, and it worked out seamlessly. So don't think because he's in another state that what he can teach you can't translate to your state. The nuances of each state are insignificant to how many things are exactly the same.
Yep, that's true.
You know what I mean? Exactly the same. So for that, again, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. And to give you all credit, every day I would fire up the lecture, Monday night, and among other names, you would see Bianca, Carol, and Paula in the waiting room ready to get in early, front and center, camera on. And this is before I required people to have their cameras on, ready to go, giving updates, giving wins. Again, that's... So when the people showing up are like that, of course I'm going to call back and give my best, right? Because the best brings out the best in someone else, and it's reciprocal. You get what I'm saying?
I think people need to remember this was pre-COVID. Like now everybody's Zoom all the time. This was pre-COVID. Not everybody was used to seeing their face. Not everybody was used to recording themselves. Coaching gives you a safe space to make those mistakes and feel silly and feel stupid.
Yeah.
With a group that's going to support you. So I always say it, like I was the worst. I was the most scared. I was always sweating. Carol laughs like I could say this like another 100 times.
Both armpits, bro. She had like pit spots. She was a mess.
I was a mess, but like look at me now. Like on this
Right.
podcast.
That's it. Look at me now. Look at me now.
Look at me now. And
She's
I
got
feel
multiple
like
listings on the market. She's as humble as they come, but she's killing it. Killing it.
It's not only getting a coach is also, right, Bryan, you could attest to this. Someone has to be coachable, right? You have to be willing. I hear the diary of the CEO all the time, and he always says embarrassment is the price of entry, the cost of entry. Embarrassment is a cost of entry. That's really true.
It's a fair. You need to have somebody you can role play with in the beginning, and because you have to practice these conversations. It's so important. Otherwise, you're gonna sound like a 2-year-old when you're speaking to an intelligent person, and you can't coherently say what needs to be said. So when you have role play partners, you can go from sounding like a 2-year-old to sounding like a mature adult who has arrived to have a professional business conversation.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And it's part of the process. Don't be ashamed of it. Embrace it. Understand that's who you are now, and realize the vision of who you want to be, and be in alignment. As Bryan would say, be congruent with your goal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How do you manage that? How do you manage, Bryan, like when you're working with agents that join the platform? I heard you say earlier, like now you require them to have their cameras on. Like how do you manage like the newbie agent that just doesn't get the fact that they're paying you to coach them, but they're not really utilizing the resources that you have? Like, the people that are in your platform that don't show up to the weekly calls. They're not like clicking on the links for your YouTube videos and watching the stuff that you have. Like, how do you get through to some of that failed mindset already kind of starting in?
Yeah. Well, I mean, most recently, my threshold and tolerance, me and Carol were talking about that, has gone down a lot. And I can think in the last 3 to 6 months, there's been at least a handful of people that I've just kicked out and given them their money back. And I said, don't come back, because...
Ladies, Bryan has turned 40.
Like, I'm just not going to deal with it, right? Now, like, to answer your question, right, directly, there's only so much that I can do. So I've looked at it from both angles. Number one, of course, I want to do everything possible to give somebody everything they need to succeed. At the same time, I'm juggling this line, because what's happening with social media and our culture is now people are overstepping that line and making shit way too easy for people. Mm-hmm. To the point where now everyone comes in entitled, I noticed. Gimme. What are you going to do for me? What are you going to do for me? It's like, dude, you got to earn it. So someone like me, who's just very direct and blunt, suddenly is this pompous jerk because, listen to this, I'm making people actually work.
Right.
Like,
the audacity.
Like, oh my God. Like, what? Wait, like I actually have to like follow a schedule and wake up on time. And like, yes, right? So it's a lot, Paula. I'm doing what I can, but at the same time, I'm also giving people enough space and freedom to decide for themselves.
Yeah, because I feel like when you're in a coaching program, there's got to be a certain like level of like, the phrase, like I've heard it and I always repeat it, is like your network is your net worth. And so you join a coaching platform and you want to see like all of these like-minded people that are just grooving, hustling, like really eager to learn, and you all kind of like feed off of each other. And I think that's where we were really lucky. Like we had such a great like that OG group that you used to refer to it as, which wasn't even the OG group. It was like the second wave of the OG group that came in, and just all like were super like-minded folks. And I think that's a hard mix to find. And so like now, like you said, you have this new era of agents that are coming on board that feel very entitled to everything, and that so like I love the fact that you're kicking people out, because I think it messes with that. What is the word I'm looking for? The energy in the
A big part of it too is and this is something that I noticed, is oftentimes now it's almost like the classic example, like back in the day in school, and everybody wanted to ask a question, but everyone's too scared to raise their hand. But as soon as the first person raises their hand, all of a sudden all of them go flying up. So what I'm doing now that I noticed that helps is the people who are like y'all, when y'all came in, first ones on the call, participating, posting live calls in the group, and giving more. I pour more into them and give them more shine. And that starts kind of unconsciously giving other people permission to do the same. Or I'll have a conversation with somebody off camera, and I'm like, hey, I know you've been making more calls. Post a couple of your calls in the group. I think that's really going to help. I'll give you some critiques. Other people can jump in. And then I notice that once the first person does it, then the second and the third and the fourth will do it, right? So that first one who kind of steps up, it kind of helps build that momentum. And I'm noticing now overall the hesitation a little bit is there, but it always goes back to the same thing. People are scared of rejection. People are, afraid of embarrassment and that kind of thing. And it's a process. But the most important thing is you have to have somebody who's willing to change and willing to put in the work.
Yeah. I hate to do it again, but here we go. You ain't special. You are not fucking special. I'm sorry. You're not. You're not the only one who's afraid to do this. Do you think that we all woke up and was like, woohoo! Let's go out today and being uncomfortable having 100 conversations with people I probably won't even like. Yes! Let's do it. Bitch, that ain't how none of us woke up. You are not special. We are all afraid to do it. The difference between us and where you're at in your growth process right now is we knew we had to jump in with 2 feet and our eyes closed and get through it, or we were going to be stuck. You're not special. Everybody has anxiety. I'm so over it, right? Everybody has anxiety. Every single one of us have fear when we have to do something. Do you think we came on this podcast and didn't have to pause for one moment in that moment of fear where your stomach turns? What if I say the wrong thing? What if we all have the goblins. You're not special. We are all dealing with the same things. What we are trying to relay as best as we can is that if we can do it, you can too.
Yeah.
One thing that helped me was actually trying to flip it, like, not have 5 great conversations. The goal should really be like, have 5 people hang up on you.
Yeah.
Girl.
Because when you're like, that's my check.
That's my check.
That's going to get you comfortable with the uncomfortable so much quicker.
Exactly.
Hey, you're not looking for a signed working agreement tomorrow. You're looking for hang-ups, because after the hang-ups, you're going to get that one person.
The next person is going to give you business. Do you remember when I used to call and celebrate when people cursed me out?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
You remember that? Brian, I would call these ladies. I'd be like, guess what? I just got cursed out, because I knew that meant I was this close to the business. Right? Because that's how it works.
The vulture shirts?
Right. Like, I don't know why that's how it works.
Yeah, the lady called me a vulture, and so then I made vulture shirts. Remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
I had a guy call me the devil. Like, legit. He cursed me out, and he was just on one, and then he's like, "You're the devil," and then he just finally hung up on me.
Meanwhile, she was just cold calling. You know what I mean? We were just cold calling. But we would celebrate. I'll never forget, I just had my first curse out. You want to, like Bianca said, man, you want to celebrate that. Like, I just got hung up on for the 100th time. You know what happened last time I got hung up on 100 times? When I called 101 times, the lady was like, I do have a house I have to sell. It's got 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. This is where it's located. How fast can you put it on the market? That's what happened. So, yes, hang up on me, please.
Yep. And then some other great things we got in coaching was when we would have our calls. And I remember Carol actually mentioning this, is being prepared when you have your first yes. Because I remember being on that cold call with Carol when I got my first yes. Remember that? It was a land listing. And I was like,
wait, Paula,
what?
Were you or were you not in a hammock during that time?
No, I was not in a hammock at that time. I didn't do the hammock cold calling until I was way more experienced. But yeah, so but just knowing how to navigate some of those nuances that we experience, that that we all experience together, and then being able to kind of experience them on a Zoom or doing our cold calls together, and then take those experiences and then jump on with our coach and have him kind of break them apart. That was also just really great. And I'm sure, Brian, you probably still see that now with people.
Yeah.
In your
I think one of the biggest differences too, and this is like a mental shift, it's a completely different mentality. Y'all were newer, but you were excited to grow and put deals together and learn about the business. And there was, sure, you could say you were scared and all that, but there was an enthusiasm and excitement behind it. What I hear now, generally speaking, the sentiment, it's so pessimistic. I'm like, well, of course you're not going to work, my dude. You think the world's going to come crashing down, and it's very opposite. And that's really what I'm attempting to shift in people. It's like, dude, everything that comes out of your mouth is negative or pessimistic. Of course you're not going to want to get better.
And this was COVID when everything was freaking shut down. Could you be more pessimistic than that? And we were like, let's go.
How lucky we were to all be in a coaching program when COVID hit. Like, can you imagine if we were single solo agents?
Oh, no.
Brand new in the business, just got our license. Where our mindset would have been if we weren't like all together and like didn't have Bryan like in our ear telling us like, stop with the COVID, like, you know, business as usual, you know?
Right.
And that was 6 years ago. The world was falling apart, and we're still talking about how much fun we had.
Yes.
And like, to quote Bryan, he told us to stop being pussies. We were like, oh, okay.
Bryan, is that word allowed on the podcast, or do I have to edit it out?
Sorry.
You're good. Please make it louder. Put like a little, like,
it's just so funny.
Cartoons when they would like punch somebody, kapow. Put that.
Right. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to curse. It's just that's funny because that's what he said to us. Like, you don't want to go in this coaching program if you.
When COVID happened in California, overnight we were literally as a team in California at the time about to explode. I think we had like 12 pending, 13 pending.
Yeah.
It was like almost 300,000 in commission. I was like, yo, we're finally like, we're here.
We're grinding, right?
The next day, all of them canceled.
Yeah. I lost 5 transactions when that hit. Yep.
People are like, oh man, you're still smiling. I'm like, what am I going to do? Sit here and fucking cry about it? Like,
well, then you list it up the next year for double.
Yeah. It's like, it's fine. I did it once. We'll do it again. It's not a problem, right? Like, we can't control that.
Right. And it was great too, because I feel like at that time we were very fortunate, at least I was, that because I had 2 different listings on the market at that time and they both fell apart because COVID came. And we were supposed to close like in the beginning of March or middle of March. And if you remember, that was right when the lockdowns hit and they fell apart. And both my clients were like, well, what are you going to do? It's COVID. And so we ended up putting the houses back on the market. Again, it was COVID. They went back under contract pretty quickly, which we were very fortunate for. But I feel like people were a little understanding when all those transactions fell apart. Yeah. You know, people instantly didn't have a job. People, you know what I mean? People are now trapped in there. There was a lot of craziness that we had never dealt with before. And sellers, you know, they really took some punches during that. Now, on the other side, their properties were worth more. It worked out for them. But in that moment, you know, so at least I was fortunate that my sellers were like, well, you'll get it sold. You sold it once, you'll sell it again. All right, I put it back on the market. And, of course, we sold it because that's what we do. That's what we do.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. I have a question for Bryan. Bryan, in your experience and having coached just hundreds of people or agents, what would you think? What is the biggest obstacle? You think it's more of a mindset, or is it more consistency?
Themselves.
They're in their own way.
Mindset?
For sure. Because, like, as an example, you could literally give me, and this is like the simplest example, you can give me somebody who's literally like an idiot, like IQ 10. But if he comes to me like, I'll do whatever you say, and I'll do it 100%, give me that guy versus maybe somebody who's extremely intelligent, but gets in their own way, talks themselves out of things, overthinks it, right? Like, and plays into the culture. Like now, I'll have the guy with literally a single-digit IQ killing it.
He'll be a top performer.
And the other guy will still be there talking circles about why he can't do it and this and that.
Right.
So it 100% is a mindset, because the times that I've gotten somebody who's had that issue, which has been probably thousands at this point, and we help them through that, suddenly, literally from one moment to the next, they start producing, they can wake up on time, and all the things that were a barrier just go away.
Right.
Because all that stuff that gets stacked up, the way I sum it up is this. I say people are dealing with the symptom of the actual problem instead of dealing with the problem. That's the issue. However, Bianca said mindset. You bring that up, they're like, I don't want to hear that bullshit. That's all fluff. It's like, okay, dude, then why are you 39 years old still living with your mom?
Why are you still living in your mother's basement?
Right. Exactly.
Yo, child support, you ain't got no job, your car only has 3 tires, and you live in your mom's basement. Maybe there's more to it, pal.
There we go, right? Now, when they're confronted and they say, okay, I believe you, and then you start giving them the list of the work that they got to do, getting embarrassed, getting rejected, confronting their insecurities. Now it's like, whoa, I don't want to do that. Okay, then you're not willing to put in the work. Fair enough. But it's all up here. Because that's everything that I did, whether it was a real estate business or my professional athletic career. I had to do a lot of stuff that initially scared the hell out of me.
Right? The fear is real.
But I did it anyway, and you rise to the occasion. But I knew what's on the other side of this I want really bad. I'm going to have to do this. There's no way around it. Because if I run away, then I can't have what I want.
Right. That's it, right?
That's all up here.
That's amazing.
So when you're coaching agents, right? You talked about, Bianca said, what do you see, in terms of, is it mindset, themselves or whatever. But what about agents who come across? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Before you go into that, can I just say real quickly? I want to define what mindset is. I feel like we talk a lot about it, and we should maybe articulate what we mean. Please understand that all four of us live in a world where the glass is half full. There are no problems. There are only solutions. We never focus on the problem. Bryan, when's the last time you focused on a problem?
When I was in my mother's womb.
Exactly, because there are no problems. There are only solutions. You should never look at something as an obstacle and always look at it as an opportunity to move forward, right? And I think that's what we're talking about, right? Do you think that articulates it pretty good? That's what we're talking about when we say your mindset, right? You have to be positive. No, you don't focus on the problem. You find the solution. You know what I mean?
Can I say something about that? Because, I tell this to my kids all the time. I don't know if I made it up. I think I did, but, correct me if I'm wrong. But I tell my kids all the time, I was like, if your problem has a solution, you don't have a problem. You just have work to do.
Mm-hmm. That's what we're talking about. Yeah. That's the mindset we're talking about.
People are scared of the work.
They're scared of it. You see what I mean? So I think some people may not understand what we mean when we say you got to have that mindset. And I think that in a nutshell says what we're talking about. You think that's fair, guys?
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like we should just articulate that.
Yeah, 100%. Because I look at three core things with people: identity, values, and beliefs. So to give a more specific example of what they just said, let's say at the core, somebody truly believes that they were born an introvert, right? And they can't change it. Well, if that's a core rooted belief that they have, I don't care who trains them, they're going to be an introvert, in quotes, for the rest of their life. So a mindset shift would allow you to change that belief. And I would baby step somebody. I would say, well, what if it was possible? Let's run an experiment for 2 weeks, right? Now, if I can get their mind to believe, wait, what if there's a possibility that this can be changed? Or maybe I'm not this way permanently. Right. Now we're on the road to change. But again, fundamentally, at the belief system in the head, if subconsciously they think this is the way I am, it's never going to change, they'll never change. So again, on the surface, we could give them all the tools. But if internally that belief never changes, they're never going to have any success. They might have little blips of success, temporary bumps, but they're always going to default back to what they believe, which is I'm an introvert and it can't change.
And it's weird because here we go. Bryan, I don't mean to talk everybody's business out there, but Bryan grew up poor, just so you know. I think, playing with mud pies in Colombia. Bianca grew up poor playing with mud pies, I think, in Florida. I grew up in Kensington in the Badlands. We were so poor, we didn't even have mud pies. And then Paula grew up with the mud pies in New York. We're all people from very, very humble beginnings. Nobody here started out on the road. Nobody had somebody helping them on the road to success. There were no silver spoons for any of us. I don't know about you, but I ate on plastic. When you got a spoon, it was plastic. So, when Bryan says that, you got to understand, that's a mindset we all had to conquer.
Yeah, totally agree.
Right? I'm just trying to make sure we're breaking it down because I don't want anybody to feel like, well, I can't do it, because you can do it. You can do it. How many times did you find yourself eating noodles and noodles while you were building, Bryan?
Had it coming out of my ears.
You know what I mean? Paula, how many noodles and noodles have you had in your life?
A lot. When I was a kid, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, they used to sell.
Talking about Carol, I'm Latina. We had rice and beans.
Okay, well, they had rice and beans. It's the equivalent of oodles and noodles. You know what I mean? Rice and beans is really delicious. Please don't take that insultingly. And if you're in Delaware, yes, I would love some rice and beans with some totones.
You're talking about.
Look, I'm putting in my Spanish food order.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I just don't want people to feel like it can't be them because they're poor or they're this or they're that. Like, we've been all those things. You're not special.
Yeah. No, for sure. Well, Bryan, if somebody is interested in joining your coaching program, like where would they go to do that?
Yes, Bryan, where would they go?
BryanCasella.com. Simple. I've kept that website for a long time. Obviously, you can find me on social, but if they just want to like look at the team or the coaching, it's all on my main website. And it's pretty simple. We just revamped it and made it super, super user friendly. Like, it's not all complicated with all these tabs. It's literally 2 buttons.
Nice.
So that's BryanCasella.com.
Correct.
Yeah. And do you have any requirements for someone joining your coaching platform?
Who doesn't get kicked out, Bryan?
I mean, I do have some requirements. I would say this. If somebody is coming to me with, well, you got to prove it to me, then I would say no. Like, if you're not coming ready to go, ready to learn, like they mentioned earlier, if you're not coachable and like, hey, I want to learn and I'm willing to put in the work, then I would just say don't waste your time, right? Because I've even chatted with people a little bit, because even now I'll jump on a Zoom with somebody if they want to chat for a couple of minutes about it. It's not a problem. But if I can already tell that they're already coming in like arms crossed, like, it's like, dude, I'm not going to waste my fucking time. Just go somewhere else. Like, you're not ready for coaching if that's the case. Because, like, you got to come ready and you got to come with the right mentality. So I would say that's really the main thing. All the other stuff we can figure out. But you got to be hungry and ready to go. And I hate to say it, but for most people, that means they need to have their back against the wall. Like, yo, I need to make something happen. And I wish it wasn't that way. But for a lot of people, they have to be in that position to finally take the step and do what they need to do.
Right.
Absolutely. All right.
That, you know, and that's on, if you want to be coached and you want to be successful, you know, talk to that guy.
Yep. Absolutely.
Talk to that guy.
Because it's different now, y'all. Like, I think I counted it. I think like it's almost like 2,000 people almost have gone through like Distinguished Agent, Modern Success, whatever.
Really? I believe it.
Like I'm not sitting here like the new kid on the block that has to prove themselves. It's like, dude, like I could literally fill up like a whole wall, like, you know, a memorial of all the people that have come through and been successful. So
right,
show up, right? It's not like you're not going to walk into Nike like, oh, what the hell is this place? Like, what do you guys do here? You know, it's like, dude, it's fucking Nike.
No, I mean, that's fair. My Facebook feed and my Instagram feed is full of agents that are successful that I was in the coaching program with. Mm-hmm. You know, you have Brett, you have Marceau, you have Austin. Right, I just have Austin in my thing. I've got Paula, I've got Bianca, I've got myself, and I'm sure there's plenty others I'm just not thinking of right now. You know,
before we wrap up, can I just share something that I heard recently that I thought it was so beautiful?
Yes.
That kind of puts all of this into perspective. So they said, and I hope I'm not butchering this, but they said that trees, they actually have to grow in 2 directions at the same time. So, you know, you have the dirt and the seed, and, you know, they have to grow up and they have to grow down at the same time.
Oh, that's interesting.
The word is called gravitropic, Carol, because you know that I'm a nerd. Gravitropic. And everybody sees the branches, everybody sees the leaves, everybody wants the fruit. Everybody sees you, they see the fruit, Bryan. You got all these fruits. But they don't see all the work underground, all the root system that you had to build in order for you to have all of that.
That's
So I think I thought that was beautiful, and it really puts it in perspective. Like, everybody sees all of this, but nobody sees that hard work that you put in, and that's really what makes it possible.
Right. I mean, because so I have made somewhere between 100 and 200,000 cold calls at this point. So if I've made that many, that means Bryan's made about 1 million cold calls. That's an insane amount of cold calls. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, that's the type of effort you got to put in to be where he's at. That is so.
I think I counted the doors that I hit, and it was well over 6 figures in doors. I hit over 100,000 doors.
You know what I mean? That's 100,000 conversations more than most people will ever have
in their lifetime.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Bryan, for joining us. Maybe we'll have you on again another time, and we can talk about some more stuff that you have, all your golden nuggets that you have to share.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you. This was fun.
Thanks,
Awesome.
Brian. It's always good to see you, man. Always.
Likewise.
Bye, Brian. Thank you.
Yep. Have a